Across America, on the morning of 14 August 1945, there was a vibrant energy in the air as war-weary Americans opened their morning papers. They learned of Japan's impending surrender. Though President Truman had not yet received Japan's official surrender, impromptu celebrations began to break out across the country. Across submarine bases in the Pacific, the morning of 14 August was just as busy as every one of the previous 1,346 days since the Japanese bombing of the naval base at Pearl Harbor. On the morning of the 14th, there were 69 American submarines at sea in the Pacific, either on patrol or proceeding to or from their patrol areas. Another 100 fleet boats were in various stages of preparation and training for their next patrol. Included among the number on patrol were 7 newly commissioned submarines on their first patrol and 10 veteran submarines with patrols totaling in the double digits, led by Haddock and Gato, each on their 13th patrol. So complete was the U.S. Submarine Force's decimation of the Japanese merchant and naval fleets that few of the submarines on patrol were finding any targets to shoot at. Spikefish, on patrol in the East China Sea, had gone for more than a month without significant action. It wasn't until the first rays of light broke across the waters on the morning of 14 August that Spikefish finally had a major target in its sights. Having made radar contact hours earlier with a large submarine zigzagging on the surface, the skipper of Spikefish had been tracking it all night, waiting until dawn in order to identify it clearly as friend or foe. At 04:19, with the target positively identified as a Japanese submarine, Spikefish fired a full salvo of 6 Mark 14 torpedoes at 1,300 yards. 2 torpedoes were seen and heard to hit, and the Japanese transport submarine I-373 sunk in a cloud of smoke, the last Japanese submarine lost in the war. Later that morning, having penetrated the heavily mined Tsushima Strait, Torsk sighted and closed on a freighter accompanied by a 745-ton escort ship. At 10:21, Torsk went to battle stations, carrying new acoustic homing torpedoes and passive acoustic torpedoes equipped with some of the Navy's newest magnetic exploders. Torsk fired one of the Mark 28 homing torpedoes, sinking the escort, while the freighter took refuge in Kosimiko Harbor. Shortly after noon, another escort ship appeared and attempted a counterattack. Torsk fired another Mark 28 and Mark 27 passive acoustic torpedo, both of which hit, sinking the second escort, the last Imperial Japanese Navy ship sunk by the United States in the war. At 7 p.m. on August 14th, President Harry S. Truman summoned reporters to the White House for a special announcement. He read a statement from the Emperor of Japan, which announced in part the unconditional surrender of Japan. 3 years, 8 months, and 7 days after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, World War II was finally over. As newspapers rushed the photos and story to print, Gato, on patrol off the northeast tip of Honshu, paused to take its own photograph at the Japanese coast during surveillance of Shirozaki before sighting a small cargo carrier headed south along the coast, hiding behind a coastal minefield. Gato commenced an end-around and surfaced to intercept the target as it emerged from the southern end of the minefield. Just as the skipper was preparing to dive and attack, Gato's communications officer handed him a message from COMSOPAC, ordering all submarines to cease all attacks and special missions. The skipper read the message to the crew over the 1MC and secured from battle stations. Badly disgruntled, as he wrote in his patrol report, that peace caught us holding a bead on the enemy. Torsk's distinction of having fired the last torpedo shot of the war stood. One by one, throughout what was now the morning of 15 August, the submarines on patrol received news of the surrender. Many of them, such as Redfin and Pargo, recorded in war patrol reports that they heard the news first on shortwave RBO radio receivers installed on board for entertainment purposes. 1100 came up to 50 feet to get a news check, all static. 1300 back up to 50 feet with the commanding officer manning the RBO tuning dial himself. Through a maze of static, heard the radio announcer proclaim, "The war is over. Thank the Lord," and opened out to deep water. 1415 surfaced and heard unofficial news on RBO that the war was over. The crowds they were describing in the big cities seemed convinced. So were we after listening to them for almost an hour. 1457 submerged to offer prayers for our safe deliverance through this terrible war, and for our comrades who were missing. The war was over. The submarines were coming home. First for brief stops at the advanced bases across the Pacific, where they would catch up on mail from home, read up on the latest news, sports, and comics, get their first taste of fresh fruit in weeks, and relax at rest camps before heading home to the United States for long-awaited reunions with loved ones.